Hey CCO, Ian here. Today I'm going to be teaching you all how to make a lanyard, including the hardest part of it all, which is starting. So, you don't have to use lanyard string like we have tons of here at camp. You can use string, you can use rope, anything that is long and kind of filament-like like this. So first step, get whatever you're going to make your lanyard with. You want to get about an arm's width. So just about, for me, that's about 6 feet-ish. And then what you're going to do, try to find the middle of it. What I like to do is just fold it off, kind of pitch so that I can see where the end is, but you can also mark it with a marker if that works for you too. So what you do, you get another string, and the easiest way to do this is you line up the middle. So for here, I have my orange one and my green one. What I like to do to start, since it can be hard to keep them in place sometimes, is just put a little bit of tape down. And then with the lanyard, what you're gonna do, remembering that the green is on the bottom, I'm gonna fold one over this way, and then one this way. So you can now see these are going over and the orange rope is going in between them. And then what you do is you kind of weave it. So it almost makes the square pattern. So I bring my orange one through, grab the other side. It's important to keep them in place as much as you can. So then you go over one and then through the next. So you can see that each rope when I pull it tight, each rope goes over and then under the one to the side of it. So the orange one goes over this green and then under the next one, and this green goes over the first orange and then under, and it kind of repeats like that. So then you pull it tight. At this point, you need to get rid of that tape. It should be able to stay in place once you remove it. Of course I use duct tape, so that's hard. And then you just pull it tight. Now you've got the first square, and that's the hardest part. So now what you'll do from there, you'll take the strings and go just flipping them back that first direction. And it can be hard the first few when you don't have much to hold on to. But eventually, you'll see that you just kind of do the same pattern over and over and over and over until you've got a lanyard going. Alright, so I have finished my lanyard pretty much. With about 2 6-foot strings, I got a lanyard here that's 7.5-ish inches long. One thing you'll notice is here I just added a little keychain by putting it through that final loop, so now I can carry it around. That's just kind of how I did that, is literally just through the first little loop there. Now that we've got pretty much our whole lanyard done, obviously lots of imperfections, but hey, that's life. So, now that we've got it done, we're just going to go and finish the lanyard. So I'm going to show you how to do that. What you want to do is just do one more pattern like you had been doing for the entire lanyard, and you're just going to do that one more time. So go through here and then one more over that other green one with my orange one, and then through the second one. And you're not going to pull it completely tight, you're just going to pull it most of the way. So for me, I like to leave it pretty tight but not completely done. And now what you're going to do to finish it is you're going to take each individual strand. So for this green one, I'm going to go around this green one and then up through this middle hole, just like that. And you're going to do this with each string one at a time. So now I'm going to go with this orange one, go up and around the other orange one through the middle hole, green one, around this green one here, around and up through that middle hole, and then finally with this orange one, around this orange one, up, around it through the middle hole. And then you just take those 4 strings, you pull them. You might have to do it kind of one at a time. I lucked out. There we go. And you get this kind of pretty nice looking knot there. Let's see if it focuses so you can get a good look at that. But that's kind of what that knot looks like. So after you're done with that, all you do, you take some scissors and you trim to whatever length you want. I'll keep mine pretty short, so I'll just do like that. Wipe away the excess material. And there you go. Look at that. So you got this nice lanyard now. Hopefully you have something to do for a couple hours, real fun activity, and then you have something to remember. So yeah, hopefully this helps. Enjoy! Hi everybody, Ranger Barry here again. Today's Leave No Trace principle is principle number 2, travel and camp on durable surfaces. Now remember, it's important to travel and camp on durable surfaces so that we don't cause more impact than we need to. Look over there! It's an activity! Let's see what's going on!
For today's activity, we're going to play a fun variation of the game The Floor is Lava called The Floor is a Non-Durable Surface. I'll explain how to play the game in a little bit, but first let's look at some examples of durable surfaces. The first example we have of a durable surface is a trail. Oftentimes, we walk on trails outside to concentrate our use in one narrow area rather than making a large area impacted. That's why it's important to stay on the trail even when it's wet or muddy. The next example of a durable surface is rock. Obviously, when we're walking on rock, it's pretty hard to disturb, so you can walk on it all you want all over, and you're probably not going to do much to it, even if thousands of people walk on it over a very short time period. Another great example of a durable surface is sand, like this sand seen here in Great Sand Dunes National Park and Preserve. With sand, you can walk on it all you want, and oftentimes your footprints are gone within 24 hours because the wind blows it away. Our last example of a durable surface is snow. With snow, if it's over 6 inches deep, you can most likely walk on it without disturbing the vegetation or ground beneath it. Like, look in this picture. Seems like that snow's a little bit over 6 inches deep. Now we're going to get into some non-durable surfaces. In this picture, you'll see some cryptobiotic soil crust, also known as biological soil crust. It's a community of many different microorganisms that all work together over a very long time to grow in hot, arid desert environments. When we're outside and we see cryptobiotic soil crust, it's important to not walk on it because all of that hard work over thousands of years can be destroyed with one single step. Another example of a non-durable surface is flowers. When we see flowers, they're in a very fragile state within their life cycle, so it's important to remember to stay on the trail and just look at them, as only a couple steps can do some real damage to the plant. Now here we have an interesting example of what could or could not be a durable surface, a meadow. In this picture, you'll see right up the middle what looks to be the beginnings of a trail. We call this a social trail. These social trails are not established, and it's important when we're walking in areas like this to not walk single file, but actually walk spread out side by side at least 10 feet apart and walk through the meadow. This is what will cause the least amount of impact as we walk in these types of environments. So now it's time to play the game, The Floor is a Non-Durable Surface. You don't need any materials for this game, just yourself and someone else. All you need to do is go to someone within earshot and yell, "The floor is a," and you yell some surface. If the floor is a non-durable surface, then they have to get off the floor and onto something else as quickly as possible. If the floor is a durable surface, then they are allowed to stay on the floor. Here's some examples of this game that I did with your leadership and trips director at Camp J. Furet, Ian. Ian, the floor is flowers. The floor is biological soil crust. Wow, you can really dance. The floor is the outside muddy part of a trail. The floor is an established trail. The floor is a social trail. Where'd he go?
Hello, welcome to CCO News 112, Special Trips Edition. My name's Eliza, a special CCO correspondent, and today we're going to learn how to pack your backpacking backpack. 55 to 75 liters. Then you're gonna have to fill it with your things, like your sleeping bag. In packing your backpacking bag, weight distribution is really important because if you have a well-packed bag, it's going to feel a lot lighter on the trails, and so you'll probably get less blisters, you'll have more energy throughout the day. So in general, you want to make sure all of your heaviest things are about halfway through the pack because that will make your lumbar feel a lot better throughout the day. So we're going to start by putting our lightest item, which is our sleeping bag, on the very bottom. A lot of bags have a special compartment on the bottom just for sleeping bags, but you can also put other light things that you're carrying, like clothes, down here too. Awesome, now that we have our lightest item, our sleeping bag, in the bottom of the pack, you're going to want to put your heaviest item right above that so that it stays in the about middle of your pack. So for most CCO trips, your heaviest item is going to be your bear canister. So on a trip, this will be full of food, and as the trip goes on, you start eating that food, you can start putting some of your personal items, like your clothes, inside of this bear can for packing. So on your CCO trips, there are items called group gear, which will be split up among all the people on the trip. So group gear includes tents, which have the tent body, the rain fly, the footprint, and tent poles. As a camper, you'll probably be holding one of these parts, so say just the poles, and the rest will be split among other members of your group. Other group gear are pots and pans, fuel canisters, your Whisper Light stove, your Biff stick, also known as the poop scoop, water purification, and med kits, which will be held by your counselors. Something that's going to make you feel better on the trail while hiking is having a tightly packed bag. And so you want the weight to be equally distributed with nothing to shift around. So currently there's a lot of space on either side of the bear bin, as you can tell. So what we're going to do is going to put tent on one side of the bag, our group gear item, and then on the other side of the bag you can pack whatever else you have that's squishable. So in this case it'll be the clothes. And so this will make sure that everything is tightly packed in the bag. To pack your clothes, I like to use a little small separate stuff sack to put them in so they're not free floating around the bag to keep things neater. If you don't have your own stuff sack, you can use a Ziploc bag, or you could embrace the madness of letting things go free in your bag. So the clothes you want to bring is, I like to have a separate items of clothes for the sleeping, like warm long sleeve shirt and pants. You also have your day clothes. You also bring things like socks and underwear. I bring a minimum of 3 socks no matter how short the trip, just because if everything goes wrong in the world, you always want to have a pair of dry socks. Awesome, now that we have our tent and clothes in the bag, we are now in the space colloquially known as the top of the pack. This is the zone where you want to get all your things that you want to be accessible on the trail, like your layers. Now that we've filled the body of our pack, it's time to move on to the brain, which is this part that straps on the top. This is where you want to put things that you'll use all the time for easy access. This is things like your bowl, hat, your gorp, glove, your rain gear, other glove, and your pack cover. Pack covers are super important, but if you don't have one, a heavy-duty trash bag will do the trick in keeping your stuff dry when it's raining. Awesome. So the last step in packing your pack is to fill in your outside pockets and straps. This is a good place to put small personal items like books, sunscreen and toiletries, and your headlamp so that they don't get lost in the larger pockets. So different packs all have different outside pockets, so I'm going to shove them in here. Your trail shoes, or your camp shoes, which are good for river crossings, are good to strap to the outside of your pack. You don't want too much to go to the outside of your pack though, because then that can cause a lot of funky weight distribution. Bubbles, great to put in the outside. Then of course, always bring 2 Nalgene's of water so they're easily accessible to stay hydrated. The finishing touch on any backpacking backpack is the sleeping bag. If you have a foam pad, you want to strap it to the outside, like this. Finally, we want to give some official CCO recommendations for things not to take on your next backpacking trip, like large unnecessary rocks, potted plants, and shower caddies. Thank you. Hope to see you on your next trip. Stay safe out there. And finally, thank you to our 2 lovely assistants, Hannah and Eva.